Hey guys, so I'm currently waiting for my cinnamon buns to finish baking, and I just want to give you guys 10 things I wish I knew before college started. I also just have it written on my phone, so I'm just gonna be looking at this while I give you guys some advice. My cat is meowing. Our chairs are super high now because we replaced our table, so I have to go all the way and bend to the side to get my cat. So the reasons why I think I'm credible to give you guys some college advice is because I'm coming up on my senior year. I will be graduating in the spring, and I also wanted to say that everyone's college experience is different, so what my college experience looks like might be different for you. I also would like to point out that I go to a CUNY. Alright, so my cat is gonna keep meowing. I'm just gonna pet her while I'm giving you guys my credentials, essentially. So I go to a CUNY school, and I also am a commuter, so my experience is definitely unique and definitely different from the traditional college experience, but I believe that every experience matters, and I'm equipped with ample advice because I feel that I am thriving in school and I am ready to graduate. Alright, so the first advice that I have written down here is keeping a good pace is better than burning up. And what I mean by that is that you don't always necessarily have to work in advance for a class. I know a lot of people, especially in STEM, which is the field that I'm studying, like to work in advance to keep up with the workload for school. But sometimes when you spread yourself too thin, it makes it hard for you to kind of keep a good pace and kind of keep everything good in every single class. You're likely going to be taking 4 to 5 classes if you're a full-time student, and a lot of people that I know usually take 2 to 3 STEM classes at the time, which is very difficult to manage because you're having probably a exam every month or so. You have a bunch of quizzes in between that. And I know many classes have labs, for example biology, chemistry, microbiome, like those type of classes have labs, and that also takes a huge chunk of your time. And a lot of those labs will also have you write a bunch of essays regarding the research that you guys were conducting. So college is very time consuming, so I would just say pace yourself, kind of just take things as they come, just to not overwhelm yourself. Obviously I know because I have the experience. I used to be the type of student that would write everything out on a calendar, write everything out in my bullet journal, and kind of just like tackle things extra over the weekend sometimes, which is not really ideal. You should just really stick to the syllabus. I guess what I'm really trying to say is that quality is better than quantity. If you can do an assignment really good instead of just like rushing the job, that would be ideal. Alright, another advice that I have is make solid connections with friends. You're gonna be in a situation where you're not always with the same group of individuals every single semester. Even if you guys are in the same field, such as STEM, language, mathematics, like that, and even if you guys are in the same major like psychology, neuroscience, or art history, you're not always going to see the same people because you have the will to kind of make your schedule and also see if you're the type of person who likes classes earlier in the morning or the type of person that likes classes later in the evening. I would say that adulthood is mostly about kind of being very intentional with who you surround yourself with and kind of being very intentional with the plans that you make. So I would say observe the people around you and see if they're the type of people that you want to be around yourself, and see if you guys kind of have the same morals, the same standards, and just kind of have the same vision. In college, you're going to meet a lot of cool people. You're going to also meet a lot of people that you don't really see eye to eye. That's one thing, but I'm also saying that you should make valuable and deep connections with people just to have someone to like lean on, and also just kind of have some sort of stability in a time that isn't so stable, because every 4 months you're kind of having a new group of classes, you're having a new group of friends, you're kind of all over the place. And whenever you have those gaps such as summer and winter semester, you always kind of get discombobulated. So it's always good to have a regular group of people that you can reliably relate to. It's not like a constant icebreaker every class, and it's always a constant like renewal of friends. It's good to just have like those people that you can rely on fully, and of course they can rely on you as well. Kind of going along to making meaningful connections and meeting a lot of interesting new people, another advice I have is that everyone is on a different path. So again, even with the friends where you find that you guys are very similar and you have a lot of similar interests and you kind of like agree on a lot of things, it's always good to have some nuance so that you're not kind of lost in the sauce of the same type of, blueprint, right? So know that everyone's on a different path, regardless of having similarities in goals. Also, the fact that kind of just don't compare yourself to others. It's easy to compare yourself to people when you guys are pretty much on the same path. Like I know initially I wanted to become a nurse. A lot of the girls I was also friends with kind of wanted to be in like the healthcare field, nursing, doctor, psychiatrist, like those type of things. And again, with the freedom of being able to kind of pick the classes you want to take and all that stuff, it comes with comparisons, like who's further ahead because they've taken more science classes, who's kind of behind because they haven't taken enough classes, or why would you take that class when you could have just taken this class? You're not doing so hot in this class and everyone's doing great in this class, or vice versa. It kind of gets comparative. And so it's just important to remember that everyone has a goal and everyone will reach those goals if they kind of just keep forward and just don't be distracted by everyone else's paths, right? And I know my experience might be unique than other traditional schools because in CUNY, you really do get the full experience. Like, you have people who are mothers, you have people who are grandmothers even, you have people who have been in the military, you have people that, you know, who work 3 jobs on top of going to school. It's actually amazing that you get to experience all these people at the same time. But again, everyone knows their limits and you know yourself. It's just important that you remember your goals, remember why you're in school, and that honestly education is really a privilege. Even if you're having a tough time, you'll always be able to kind of reshape yourself and get yourself back on the right track. Kind of going along with everyone is on a different path, I have college is not about being the best. It's more of a microcosm of the world. You're learning, yes, but it's mostly a journey of yourself. So again, you're gonna have plans, you're gonna have a specific career you want to get into, but once you actually are living in the real world as an adult, being surrounded by a lot of different types of people, your view is gonna change. Your experiences will impact how you view the world. What you want to do might change. Like for me, I know I've evaluated my career choices and kind of flip-flopped and twisted all around at least 2 to 3 times, and I'm kind of set on where I'm heading now as a senior, and because of that I will probably have to take extra schooling outside of my bachelor's degree, which is amazing honestly, and I'm kind of excited to see where that path leads. But again, what I wanted to say is that you really get to know yourself and get to know your likes, dislikes, and in addition to that, if you are dorming, you have that extra setting that allows you to explore yourself as a person, but also just having alone time and just reevaluating everything. You have that privilege of being by yourself and thinking and reminiscing and reflecting in a space that's yours. Another tip I have is don't be afraid to talk to professors. It's better to build connection than to struggle. And you know what? I should have taken this advice in freshman year because it is a big adjustment, and college isn't like high school where you see your professors all the time. A lot of the times, campuses are way bigger than high schools, so it's very rare that you'll cross paths with a professor that you had freshman year. But also, just these professors have been studying their field for a long time. A lot of them 10 plus years at least, right? So they know their stuff. You don't know your stuff. You may have taken a chemistry class in high school as like a little refresher, but college is different. If you are struggling, you need help. Don't just assume you know things just because you knew it in high school. It could be totally different in college, and also exams are different. Each professor have their own way of testing their students, so it's important to just reach out and, you know, just clarify things if you're confused. Kind of going along with professors and exams and stuff, another advice I have is make sure to have a good study routine, because classes change every semester and you don't want to be acclimating every semester. Kind of going back to how things are not permanent and everything changes all the time, you need a good study routine, because studying for STEM classes and studying for history classes and studying for art classes are way different. Like for me personally, I know that I study best in the night, and I don't really like studying early in the morning because I'm not awake. What I like to do is I like to do everything in the morning, get that out the way, like, you know, work out, meet with friends, go to classes, work, anything like that. And then once it hits like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, that's when I get to studying. Okay, so I know I look really different, and that's because the footage did not save from the camera. So we're gonna do this again. Completely new look. Same advice. The next thing I have is have hobbies. You are a person outside of education. So I feel like whenever you are in school, which is majority of us from ages at least 5 all the way up to 18, your identity is student, right? In college, it's easy to get lost in the sauce because you're kind of like taking all these classes, you're meeting a bunch of people, and everyone's like, I'm gonna do this. It's important to kind of like sit back, relax, and remember that you're a person and you have interests outside of just studying. So what I like to do is every semester I like to take at least one class that isn't a part of my major, whether that be art history, pottery, ceramics, anything of that nature. And I'm saying this because I like art, and if you're in that realm already, like in the humanities realm, maybe you can take like an astronomy class. That would be really cool. But I think just kind of having a class that isn't a part of your major is really beneficial. And I know there's limitations, of course, like having to pay for that class is kind of like useless if it's not part of your major, but even just joining clubs and doing things outside of education is very important because you get to meet people that aren't so like-minded, and I feel like that's very important to just like keep yourself. But also I know a lot of people like to do boxing just for physical fitness. They like to do Pilates, they like to do running and stuff. Like I know my friends and I, we really like reading, so we like to tandem read sometimes. That's one of the hobbies that I do. But yeah, just don't lose yourself when you're in school. Remember that you have interest and you will always have time to kind of put yourself first. Kind of going along with that, my next tip is that grades do not define you. I feel like I have always been a part of some honors society, APs, regions for New York, but I've always been a part of some society that is like based on grades and good grades at that. For me, the transition from high school to college and having the difficulty of acclimating every semester and having different teachers all the time and not really having a set routine kind of set me up for failure, because for college, especially in CUNY, it's a different system. I went from taking AP classes in high school where you have the same professors all throughout the year. Everyone kind of has the same way of teaching. They go off the guidelines of the AP and we study through I think they're called the AMSCO books. Basically, the whole year is to prep you for the AP, which I've been doing since sophomore year of high school. So to transition into a college chemistry or college history class was really difficult for me because every professor has their own way of teaching. So as a result, I did have some grades that I wasn't really proud of. The good thing about college is that you'll always have next semester. I did really well in general chemistry 1, but then in general chemistry 2, because I switched teachers and also because it was harder content, I didn't do so well. You have another opportunity every semester to kind of refresh yourself. That in high school isn't really a benefit. I'm making college seem like it's very difficult, but it really isn't. You kind of just have to roll with the punches, and there's just going to be times where you're not going to get 100. That's just kind of a given in school. Like you're not always going to get 100, but it's just always important to remember that even if you get like a 30, let's throw a crazy number. Well, it's not that crazy because there are classes that are really difficult, but let's say you get a 30 and it seems like you're not gonna pass the class. Just take it, leave it in the past, move on to the next exam. You can't spend too much time getting upset about the grade that you receive when you have another exam coming up in like a month. So just kind of learn to take things as they come and don't take it too personally and just next exam. This kind of goes with the have hobbies, but I said here take classes that have nothing to do with your major. I don't even know if I should count that as an example, but yeah, my schedule was really messed up freshman year and I ended up having to take pre-calc even though I already took calculus in high school, so whatever. But admissions office opened my scheduling, so I was able to make my own schedule. But since everyone had already kind of started, I was already a month into school and everyone already started, the classes were limited and I ended up having to just take my language early, and I decided German because there wasn't any other languages that was open, and I didn't really want to take Spanish because I had already taken it all throughout high school. So I ended up doing German and it ended up being one of my best classes that I performed in. It also ended up as one of my favorite classes because I enjoyed it so much, and I actually have a really good relationship with my professor. She's really cool and she's actually going to be writing me a letter of recommendation. So you never know how things will end up. Just if you're interested in a class and you have the means to do it, just take the class. Never stop yourself from gaining experience. And I kind of wish I went into college more as a yes ma'am. Like I kind of wish I just went in with an open mind. So this is my advice for you. And my very, very, very last advice, and this kind of just goes beyond college and just like general life advice, take care of yourself first. If you are struggling, you are not going to perform well. You are the driver of your life. If you are unwell, your life isn't going to go well. If you're feeling sick and attendance isn't mandatory for school, don't go. If you have an exam at 10 in the morning and you're studying for that exam until 3 in the morning, do you think you're going to do well in that exam? And I mean, again, everyone's different, but kind of gauge what your limits are. Like for me, I could never stay up early. I love waking up early and prepping for the exam like that. I like studying my flashcards when I'm on the commute to school. So that's just how I work. If you're not able to perform because you're spreading yourself thin, don't do it. If you have an exam the next day and your friends ask you to go party, you probably shouldn't go party. There's always gonna be a day where you don't have anything happening and you can go party. But if it's before an exam or a quiz or something important for school, just don't go party this one time, guys. If you are having a headache or feeling down, don't force yourself to go to school. If you need a mental health day, take the mental health day. I know a lot of professors don't really care if you show up or not. Like some of my classes, attendance isn't mandatory and they also post the lectures online. So if you feel like you can keep up with that, take the opportunity. Alright guys, I'm so sorry for that weird cutoff in between the two different videos. I don't know why my camera didn't film anything, but that's all the advice I have for you. Hopefully I gave you 10 different advice. If not, the title will be different. I actually have to go to school on the 26th of this month. A lot of good things are happening, so I'm very excited for that. I'm actually a senior this year, so I'm almost out, guys. But yeah, let me know what you think of these different advice. Would you do anything differently? Let me know when you guys start school and what you're most excited for college. And if you're already in college, tell me what you would do differently from the advice that I gave you. I hope you guys enjoyed this introduction into adulthood. I hope you guys have a great college experience. And let me know what other videos you'd like to see from me. Bye!